So I want to go over some APA formatting issues while you're working on your group projects to make sure that this particular turn-in has, or this particular deliverable is taken care of and formatted correctly. So we'll run through a basic little presentation that I found on the internet that does a really good job about explaining APA formatting and some of the requirements. And in an academic world, we use it for a variety of reasons. Establishing credibility, allow others to access your sources, allows me, when I read it, to be able to identify your resources and look at them, helps you stay organized, and then takes care of that plagiarism issue. So basic formatting things that we need to make sure that we take care of: 1-inch margins, double spaced, title page, centered text placed on the top half of the page. Page numbers are in the header, right justified, and then your running header, the title of your essay or title of your paper, is left justified in all caps letters. These are things that need to be done for every submission. So basically we have three components: the title page, the parenthetical citations, and the reference pages that identify most of the issues in. To date, I haven't really taken too many points or made too many point adjustments based on some of the APA formatting I've seen. Try to make those connections or corrections on the document in my comments. Going forward, we're going to have to start assessing them a little bit more rigorously. Many of you are doing very well with that, but there's some things that we need to tweak. So here's an example of a title page: running head up on the left, justified, page number on the right, and then everything else is centered. And then the first page should look very similar to this. This particular document makes sure that the body of our text is justified to the left and that we indent the first line of each paragraph. I see this is a continual issue. Paragraphs are indented, so let's make sure that we take care of that going forward. Using in-text citations, again, three real reasons that you do that: quoting, paraphrasing, and then summarizing. If we're going to use a source, using a source that quotes another source, what you want to do is work your way back to the original documentation. So if you run across an article that's something along the lines of you're running across an article that quotes another article or another piece of work, you need to go back to that source document and use that source document, and that avoids any confusion. Find that original source document and quote it directly. Eliminates confusion within your paper and on your reference list. It just makes it much easier for us to read. Include only the necessary elements to eliminate any confusion. Your citation is really the roadmap to your credibility. We're looking at author's last name, year of publication, and page number. We're talking about in-text citations here. Here's a great example. You'll notice that what we have here is a quote, a short quote, less than 40 words, where we put the author's name in parentheses with a comma, 2006, and then the page that it was from before the end sentence period. Another example here of looking at the same type of quote, which is a completely okay way of doing it, is where this particular person put the author's name first. In fact, Feely in 2006 gave us the quote and then the page reference at the end. Either format is okay, but that's the required information that we would expect to see when we're quoting something, right? Introducing an author, quote by the author, info in parentheses, changes a little bit. So if we look at sources with multiple authors, 3 to 6 authors, the first time that you use that particular reference, we want to put everybody's name in the particular in-text citation. And in this case, it's Kelly, Richer, and Switz in 2006, page 32. And then the next time you reference them, then it's Kelly et al., 2006, page 32. It saves you some time and some space. 7 or more authors, you automatically go to the et al., but in the reference page, they would all be listed there. Some other things that we need to address as they consistently occur. Quotes longer than 40 words should be indented 5 spaces, but still, justified as left-hand margin. So you want to indent the entire quote 5 spaces, but it should still go all the way out to the right-hand margin. When summarizing, you don't have to give a page number. You only use the last name and the publication. If you're reading a particular source and you're not directly quoting from it or using any direct language from that source, you're just going to summarize it in your own words. You only need to give the author's last name and the year in that in-text citation. Reference pages, we need to have the author's last name, first initial, the title of the work, the publication information, and then other information that might be necessary to identify that. So for instance, in this particular instance here, with a book with one author, we have last name, first initial, the year of the publication. Don't need the month, don't need the additional information other than just year, title of the publication, publication city, and then the publisher. And note that the only the first word in the title of the text is capitalized, not every word. Books with 2 authors or more, the key difference here is that they're using the ampersand as opposed to writing out the word and. An article that's in an edited book or an anthology, again, same basic information other than that they have in R.M. Miller, who's identified as the editor, and then the pages that they would be located within that textbook. Articles from a database, and many of you have turned to databases. Again, same basic concept here. Title of the article is not italicized, only the first word is capitalized. The journal itself or the database is in italics, the volume, and then the issue number here, again in italics, no comma in between the page numbers, and then where they retrieved it from. Documents on a website, again, title of the website or the creator of the website, the year, the title of the article. Now notice here that they've capitalized Germany, proper noun, followed by a colon, and then the first word after that colon is capitalized, and that's consistent across resources, economic policy, retrieved from, and then the page or the web address. Please make sure that you're putting periods at the end of your references as well. Start with the title. Everything else is the same. Sources with unknown author, you just start with the title. Everything else remains the same. A book with an unknown author, taking control, that's the title of the book, date, where it was published, and who published it. Sources with an organization, I saw this from a couple of different papers. Again, same basic concept. Hawaii Department of Education, the year, the title of the paper, where it was published, and then U.S. Government Printing Office. Right? List the name of the organization as the author. For each entry, you invert each author's name, so it's last name, first initial, period. Put the publication in parentheses after the author's information. In titles of books and articles, capitalize the first word of the title and any subtitle, and then any proper nouns. Not every word. We have to stop doing that. And then titles of journals, capitalize first words and all other important words. Italicize all books and journals titles. Do not italicize or use quotation marks around article titles. It's not appropriate for APA format. Give the state only if the city is not well known if you're looking at a book. Make sure that you're using hanging indents. And then, when in doubt, look it up. And there's lots of great resources out there. And that reminds me, on the reference page, the individual references are single-spaced and they're double-spaced in between references. We need to make sure we address that as well. Here's just some examples of a reference page. You notice that the hanging indent, you notice they're in alphabetical order, right? Single-spaced, they should be double-spaced in between. They're single-spaced here, but you want to make sure you double-space them. Only the information that's necessary to identify it. Again, consult APA handbook when questions arise. You should purchase this if you don't have it. And there's also a bunch of great websites out there that you can use, and these are probably the two best ones: apastyle.org and owlenglish.purdue.edu. And of course, you can always send it to me. I'll be happy to look at it and mark it up. We need to make sure that in this setting, in an academic setting, citations and referencing is absolutely critical, and it's going to cost you points. At some point here, we're going to have to, and I'm going to start really looking at this, and it seems kind of petty in that I really, you might be wondering, well, why are we so worried about format as opposed to content? And I'm absolutely concerned about content, but we have to give credit where credit is due, and if we're not doing appropriate in-text citations or we're not doing appropriate referencing, then we're not doing our job. So we want to make sure that we get that taken care of. We also need to start looking at our resources. Web pages created by individuals who have no credibility are not good references. We need to start doing a better job at finding credible resources. And if you're having trouble or you're unable to find resources that you're comfortable with, you can always reach out to myself. You can reach out to other folks within the course. The library is in the process of putting together, and should be up within the next few days, a good resource guide for this particular program. But you know what? You can always email me. You can always ask, and we can go from there. And this is where I got mine from here. I actually grabbed this from slideshare.net, and I'm going to post this I'll post the notes of the PowerPoints out to our course as well. This is a pretty good resource as well. Thanks.